Hello students, welcome back again. Today the topic for discussion is forensic psychiatry. So before going into the actual topics, what we will be studying in this particular chapter. Beforehand we will define what is psychiatry, what is forensic psychiatry, and we also will define various key terms used in this particular chapter. And then in the next subsequent part we will also talk about the Mental Health Act and various other concerned topics regarding this. So let's try to define what is meant by psychiatry. Psychiatry is a branch of medical science which deals with the study, the diagnosis and treatment of mental illness. And what is forensic psychiatry? Forensic psychiatry is, or it deals with the application of knowledge of psychiatry in the administration of justice. We'll define what is meant by mental illness or unsoundness of mind. It is defined as a disease of mind or the personality in which there is derangement of mental or emotional process and impairment of behavioral control. These people, they do not adapt or are unable to adapt themselves to the ordinary social requirements because of the impairment of the behavioral control, or there is derangement of the mental or emotional process. They are not a normal human being. They do not adjust to the ordinary or normal surroundings. So an important term in this particular chapter would also be a psychologist. Psychologist is a person with a degree in psychology but without medical qualification. That means to say that it is not a medical degree, but he has got a degree in psychology subject, and this concerns with the study of normal and abnormal mental functioning of a person, and this can be tested by various tests of intelligence or personality, etc. But a psychiatrist is a person who has a medical degree. He is trained in medical science of psychiatry, where he can use his medical knowledge in the treatment of mental illness. So some common or key terms that are used in forensic psychiatry. First one is abreaction. This is nothing but reviving and bringing into consciousness the forgotten and other traumatic experiences or repressed emotions of a person from the past to a conscious level by means of catharsis. So a forgotten or any traumatic experiences or repressed emotions of a person from the past are brought to a conscious level by means of catharsis. So catharsis is nothing but a process wherein the repressed emotions of a person from the past are brought to the conscious level. Affect. Affect is the term related to the emotion, mood or feeling of one person. Affective disorder. This is a disorder in which the affect is disturbed. The affect of a person is disturbed. That means the person's mood or the feeling is disturbed. Example for affective disorders are bipolar disorder, mania or depression. Cognition. Cognition refers to higher mental faculties such as the memory, intelligence, concentration, etc. Various higher mental functions are there, among them such as memory, intelligence, concentration. Still there are more. So that is referred to as cognition. Confabulation. Confabulation is nothing but a false memory that a patient believes to be true. He goes on narrating various stories. It is without any intent, but that is a false one, and he believes that memory to be true and goes on telling. So that is confabulation. Delirium. The next common term that is used in forensic psychiatry is delirium, most commonly used. So this delirium is nothing but a disturbance of consciousness in which the orientation of the person is impaired, the critical faculty is blunted or lost, and the thought content of a person becomes irrelevant and inconsistent. There is disturbance of consciousness where the orientation of a person is impaired, the critical faculty is blunted or lost, and the thought content is irrelevant or inconsistent. Causes for delirium are any medical condition or physical condition wherein the body temperature is increased to a great level, such as it could be a CNS infection, or there may be head trauma, or even the person may be under a drug intoxication. Example would be datura, wherein the person goes into a stage of delirium. So the medico-legal importance of delirium is person becomes impulsive and he may commit suicide or homicide. And the person who is suffering from delirium will not be held criminally responsible. Person under the delirious state may commit certain acts which, if a normal person has committed, would be a crime. But a person suffering from delirium commits such an act, then that person may not be held criminally responsible. So another interesting word that is used in forensic psychiatry or psychiatry is delusion. What is delusion? Delusion is a false and firm belief in something which is not a fact, but it persists even after its falsity has been clearly demonstrated. It is a disorder of belief, right? So delusion is a false and firm belief in something which is not a fact, and it persists even after its falsity has been clearly demonstrated. Normal persons also suffer from delusion, but that normal person corrects himself by means of reasoning power. He has got his own reasoning power to correct such delusional belief, or he may get it corrected upon being convinced by some other people. But people suffering from mental illness who are having this delusion may not be able to correct such false and firm belief. So delusion in mentally ill person is a symptom of brain disease, and this delusion is seen in epileptic persons or people suffering from affective and schizophrenic disorders. So coming to the types of delusion, very interesting one. You listen one by one. It is very interesting. The first one is delusion of grandeur or exaltation. In this delusion, the person believes that he is very rich. He is more richer than anybody else, but in reality, he is very poor. That is delusion of grandeur or exaltation. Second one, which is the most common type, is delusion of persecution, also called as delusion of paranoia. In this delusion, the person believes that his wife or his friends or any person is coming to kill him, or they are going to inflict injury to him or kill him by any other means, such as giving poison to him or any such types. So this is called as delusion of persecution or delusion of paranoia, which is most common type. The next one is delusion of reference. In this very interesting delusion, the person believes that every other person is referring to him only. Even if he walks on the street, then the strangers, he believes that the strangers are looking to him, at him, and they are referring to him. So that is delusion of reference. They are talking about him. Like that, the person believes. So that is delusion of reference. In delusion of influence, which is also called as Clermont-Kandinsky syndrome, the person believes that his thoughts, his actions are being influenced by some outside agency, and because of that he may not be able to control his actions, thought or feelings. He also says that his thoughts, actions or feelings are controlled by outside agency by means of telepathy or by hypnosis. That is delusion of influence. In delusion of infidelity, also called as Othello syndrome, in this the person strongly believes that his wife or a partner is very much unfaithful to him, though in reality his wife or the partner is very faithful, but the person has a strong, false and firm belief that he thinks or believes that the partner or wife is unfaithful to him. That is delusion of infidelity, also called as Othello syndrome. Delusion of self-reproach. In this, the person always blames him for his past failures, and these past failures are of minimal importance, but he keeps on blaming himself for those past failures. This is called as delusion of self-reproach. Next one is delusion of nihilism or nihilistic delusion, also called as Cotard syndrome. In this, the person feels that he does not even exist, or believes that he does not even exist, or he believes that he is a dead person, or he also believes that the world does not exist. This is called as nihilistic delusion or Cotard. The next one is delusion of hypochondriacal or hypochondriacal delusion. In this, the person strongly believes that he is suffering from some medical condition or diseases, and he always keeps on approaching doctor, and if he is not satisfied, he goes and approach another doctor also. So that is delusion of hypochondriacal or hypochondriacal delusion, in which the person feels that he is suffering from certain medical condition, but in reality it is not there, or it does not exist, such medical condition or any physical disease. Medical legal importance of delusion. Person with delusion cannot be regarded as fully responsible for his criminal acts, and a person affected by delusion can make valid will if the delusion is not related in any way with the disposal of the property or the persons. So a person with a delusion is not fully responsible for his criminal acts, and the other medical legal importance is the person affected by delusion can make valid will provided the delusion is not related in any way with the disposal of the property. Coming to the next word, that is hallucination. Hallucination is a false sense of perception without any external object or stimulus to produce it. Hallucination is a false sense of perception without any external object or stimulus to produce it. Let us see what are the different types of hallucination. So these are the different types of hallucinations: visual hallucination, auditory hallucination, olfactory hallucination, gustatory hallucination, tactile hallucination, psychomotor hallucination, or command hallucination. In visual hallucination, the person sees imaginary things. There is no external object or stimulus there, but he sees some things. He perceives by his one of the sense, that is eyes or the sight, and he sees some imaginary things which does not exist. That is visual hallucination, most common in alcoholic persons. Auditory hallucination. Auditory hallucination is also the same thing, wherein the person feels by one of his senses, that is the ears, and hears imaginary voices. In that surrounding there is no voice, but he hears birds chirping or people talking or any lion roaring, like that. So those are auditory hallucinations. In olfactory hallucination, the person feels some bad smell or good smell in a normal surrounding. There is no actually a bad smell or a good smell. It is normal, but the person feels that some bad smell is emanating or bad odor is coming, unpleasant odor. So that is olfactory hallucination, also called as phantosmia. In gustatory hallucination, the person feels either good taste in the mouth or bad taste in the mouth because of some food in the mouth. He believes that there is some food, or perceives by his taste sensation some good or bad taste, but actually there is no food in the mouth at all. So that is gustatory hallucination. In tactile hallucination, also called as haptic hallucination, the person feels that some insects are crawling under his skin, or some green sands are present under his skin. That is tactile hallucination, also called as haptic hallucination. And this is what I talked in my previous class, where it was seen in case of chronic cocaine consumption, and it was given by another name, that is called as Magnan's symptom. That is same, nothing but a tactile hallucination. In psychomotor hallucination, the person feels that his one part of the body is moving continuously, but in reality it is not moving, it is there only, but he feels that his part of the body, like the hand or the leg or the head, is moving away from him. That is psychomotor hallucination. In command hallucination, the person feels that there is some people giving command to him, or there are voices which gives command to his feelings, and listening to that command he executes his action. Those commands may be unpleasant one also, wherein he may resort to some criminal activities. So those are command hallucination. Coming to the next word, that is called as illusion. Illusion is nothing but the false interpretation by the senses of a person with an external object or a stimulus which has a real existence. So note down the difference. In hallucination, it is a false sense of perception by the senses, and there is no external stimulus or an object there. But in illusion, there is an external stimulus or an object which is real one, but the senses of that person interprets it falsely. So it is a false interpretation by the senses of an external object or stimulus which has real existence. Example is, a person sees a dog on the street and mistakes it for a lion. Suddenly he runs from the scene there. Similarly, a person sees a rope and mistakes it for a snake. So these are the false interpretation by the senses, an external object or stimulus which has a real existence. Actually the object or stimulus is there and the person mistakes it. So illusions are a feature of organic type of psychosis. Coming to the next one, that is impulse. Quite interesting one. It is nothing but a sudden and an irresistible force compelling a person to the conscious performance of some action without motive or a forethought. So impulse is nothing but a sudden and irresistible force which compels a person to do certain things without any motive or forethought. So that is impulse. Types are kleptomania, pyromania, mutilomania, dipsomania, sexual impulse. The first one, kleptomania, is the person gets a sudden and irresistible desire to steal articles which are of little value. Like he goes to a shop and he sees a pencil over there which hardly costs around 2 or 5 rupees. So he gets that sudden and irresistible force to steal that thing. So that is kleptomania. In pyromania, the person has an irresistible force to set fire to the things. So that is pyromania. In mutilomania, the person gets a sudden irresistible force to mutilate animals, kill and mutilate animals. That is mutilomania. In dipsomania, the person has an irresistible force wherein the person goes and drinks continuously alcoholic drink or consumes alcoholic drink without any motive or forethought. He gets that irresistible desire to consume alcoholic drinks. That is dipsomania. In sexual impulse, there is an irresistible urge to indulge into sexual acts continuously, and such sexual impulse, or he may resort to certain perverted sexual acts when he suffers from sexual impulse. Coming to phobia. Phobia is a common term which is being used, wherein most of the people suffer from one or the other phobias. Phobia is nothing but an excessive and irrational fear of a particular object or situation. Excessive and irrational fear of a particular object or a situation. These are the types. Few of them mentioned here. There is a wide list or a long list of phobias, but few, for examples, I have just mentioned here. The first one is acrophobia. It is nothing but fear of heights or high places. Second one is agoraphobia, fear of being in large open places. Like if he is brought and made to stand in a large ground, especially a stadium or like that, then he is afraid of being there, large open place. The opposite of it is the claustrophobia, wherein there is an irrational fear of being in a closed space. The person becomes very fearful when he is kept locked in a closed space or a confined space. So in nyctophobia, there is an irrational fear for darkness. As soon as it becomes dark, the person starts fear. In mysophobia, there is fear of filth or contamination or germs. Maybe now everybody is suffering from mysophobia because of the contamination of their hands or by coronavirus. It's quite common nowadays. Then xenophobia is fear of strangers. Whenever a person sees a particular stranger, he is afraid of. That is xenophobia. Coming to the next term, that is called as lucid interval. It is nothing but a period of clear thought or consciousness between two periods of mental illness. The person is suffering from mental illness, then suddenly becomes normal, and suddenly once again he passes into a stage of mental illness. So that period of clear thought or consciousness between two periods of mental illness is called as lucid interval. This lucid interval may also be seen in persons suffering from head injury, especially person who has met with a head injury and has extradural hemorrhage. Medical legal importance of lucid interval is a person is held responsible for his any acts committed during the period of lucid interval. The next word is a psychopath. Psychopath or sociopath is a person who is neither insane nor mentally defective, but he fails to conform to the normal standards of behavior. That means to say that he has an abnormal personality and an antisocial behavior, maybe an aggressive behavior or very timid one like. So this psychopathic behavior may not be a ground for insanity defense, where in court the lawyer may defend his party saying that the person is mentally ill on the ground saying that he is a psychopath, but this may not serve as a ground for insanity defense but may provide a plea for diminished responsibility. The person is having a low maturation level, that is diminished responsibility. That is a person who is psychopath. So the next term we are going to define is psychosis. Psychosis is a condition characterized by withdrawal from reality, and that person lives in a world of fantasy. So he is suffering from some certain mental illness. So that is, psychosis is a condition who is suffering from mental illness, and in that he is withdrawn from the reality. There is no touch with the reality and he lives in a world of fantasy. That is called as psychosis. Neurosis is a condition wherein the patient suffers from emotional or intellectual disorder, but he does not lose touch with the reality. For example, if a person is suffering from depression, he goes into certain stages of depression as and now, but he does not lose touch with the reality. He knows that he is suffering from depression. He should overcome it. But in psychosis, it does not occur. The person is totally away from the reality. He lives in a world of fantasy. Students, let me stop here for today's class on the first part of forensic psychiatry. In subsequent classes, I will be talking about Mental Health Act or even the classification of psychiatric disorders and how you restrain a mentally ill person, and the most important McNaughton rule and other things. Thank you.